with riot police making
from high atop Hogback Mountain.
We're covering the Carolinas like never before with 100,000 watts of power. It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome. It's May Day. You know that? Yeah, it's May Day. It's International Socialism Day, apparently. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. Welcome to the program. Glad to have you along with us on this Monday afternoon. I will be honest with you. I have been mad since Saturday morning. Saturday morning at 10:46, I got PO'd, and folks, I have stayed PO'd the entire weekend. Literally. I was mad all day Saturday. I was mad all day yesterday. I've been mad all day today. Because I'm sick and tired of rhinos in our state legislature acting like they're doing something. Okay, I'm going to read this to you. This was posted by State Senator Shane Massey this weekend, Saturday morning, April 29th, 10:46 in the morning exactly. Shane Massey posted this on Facebook. It's going to take a minute for me to read. Just sit back, relax, and prepare to get angry yourself. A number of people have contacted me about quote-unquote constitutional carry. For those who may be unfamiliar with constitutional carry, quote-unquote, the idea is that law-abiding gun owners should be able to carry their weapons without a concealed weapons permit. Now, I will tell you right now, all you need to know about that first paragraph is that Shane Massey puts constitutional carry in quotes. Now me, I capitalize it. So that should tell you everything you need to know so far about how Shane Massey feels about constitutional carry. Okay. Here's what he goes on to say. I don't really care about the concealed weapons permit, but the permit is a vehicle used to ensure those of us who carry have completed a training class and have passed a background check. I do care about training and background checks. I am all for law-abiding people carrying weapons. I've supported every expansion of gun rights for law-abiding citizens since I've been in the Senate. In fact, I've been the guy pushing for several of those expansions. I led the fight to allow CWP holders to carry in restaurants. I offered the amendment to eliminate the sled fee for permits, and I offered the amendment to make South Carolina a sanctuary state for handguns. I have opposed every restriction on law-abiding gun owners since I've been in the Senate. I will continue to support expansions and oppose restrictions for law-abiding gun owners, but I am not going to support eliminating requirements for training and background checks for those of us who carry. Training is important. It's important that those of us who carry are exposed to the laws. It's important that we know what the castle doctrine is and what stand your ground means. It's important we know when we can shoot and, more importantly, when we can't. It's important that we can demonstrate at least a minimal proficiency in handling the weapon, how to hold it, how to load it, how to fire it. Background checks are important. Yes, I know most gun purchases require background checks, but that does nothing to catch criminal convictions or court findings of severe mental illness after the purchase. You can't argue that constitutional carry, quote unquote, allows law-abiding gun owners to carry if you prevent law enforcement from being able to determine who is law-abiding and who is not. I think training and background checks are reasonable, but those requirements are also perfectly consistent with the Second Amendment. Yes, I know the Second Amendment says, quote unquote, shall not be infringed. It says more than that, but it certainly says that too. But training and background checks are not infringements prohibited by the Second Amendment. That's not just me saying that. That's Justice Antonin Scalia and Justice Clarence Thomas. Justice Scalia and Justice Thomas have proven themselves to be two of the most philosophically conservative Supreme Court justices of the past 150 years. They have both pushed for the Constitution to be interpreted as it was intended by the authors and as it was understood by those who voted to ratify it. And I absolutely agree with that. Justice Scalia and Justice Thomas wrote the most defining court opinions on the Second Amendment, D.C. versus Heller. The Second Amendment guarantees an individual to keep and bear arms. And the NYA SRPA versus Bruin, the government can't require law-abiding gun owners to give a reason in order to carry. Those opinions were well-researched, well-written, and correctly decided. And in those opinions, Justice Scalia and Justice Thomas clearly said it is perfectly consistent with the Constitution for the state to require training and background checks. I know that some of you disagree with me on this. I know many of you agree, but that's my position and my reasoning behind my position. I'm not going to vote to eliminate requirements for training and background checks. So let's go in for a moment and let's just pick this little piece of crap apart. How about that? Let's just do like the chickens do with bull droppings and just scratch at it a little bit, okay? First of all, you are required. Let me ask you something. When you got your CWP, how much actual training did you get? And what did your training
require. For me, it was shooting 50 rounds on target. And that's it. Take the little test, shoot the gun, get your permit 90 days later. Okay? Yeah. You are requiring legal citizens to do something that criminals don't have to do. Do you think criminals pass a background check? No, they do not. Do you think criminals go in and get fingerprinted for SLED? No, they do not. Do you think criminals sit in an 8-hour class and learn all about the castle doctrine and stand your ground? No, they do not. They don't do that. What criminals do is just like that man did in Texas, they go in and they shoot up families, innocent people. We'll talk about that guy more coming up. But what Shane Massey wants is for you to take steps that criminals are not expected to take. So, you want to talk about infringement? This shall not be infringed. I swear to you, if I could go back in history and talk to the founding fathers, I would say, listen, the Second Amendment, write it so a fifth grader could understand it. How about this? How about you just take the whole part about the militia out and just put in the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed? So what is infringement? Infringement is impeding you from keeping and bearing arms. That's what it does. And for Shane Massey, listen, I'm sick and tired of rhinos. Good Lord, I'm so I would like to take that rhino horn and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. I really would. Charlie, I love this. 025. Charlie, I just looked at the Constitution. I don't see that sit in class part. Oh, all right. Yeah, I didn't say, I swear to you, I don't think the word training is anywhere in the Constitution. Hey, did you guys go get your First Amendment training today? Do you have your First Amendment permit? Do you have your freedom of speech permit? Did you have to sit in class? No? You don't know? No? How about your freedom of religion? Did you have to go sit in class for that? Have to go get you a permit and get fingerprinted to enact your freedom of religion? No, you didn't? Really? How about the freedom of the press? No. No. No other right guaranteed to us in the Constitution requires us to have training for it. None. And Shane Massey, maybe you're depending on Scalia and Thomas for all of your information, but what I call this is confirmation bias, which is exactly what he's doing. He's looking for somebody. He's looking for an accomplice in his position, and those accomplices right now are Scalia and Thomas. The Bill of Rights protects us from you, Shane Massey. The Bill of Rights. And who are you, Shane Massey? Who are you? You're the government. You are the government. The Second Amendment protects, the Bill of Rights protects us from you. You're the problem. You're the one. And everybody that thinks like you do, they are the Sandy Sins of the world and the Shane Masseys of the world. You are who the Constitution is protecting us from. The Constitution predicted you were going to do this. And you proved the Founding Fathers right. You proved the Founding Fathers that we need the Bill of Rights to protect us from people like you. 176. Great question. What training do politicians have to go through? Obviously, none. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Here's how I hear the people that are agreeing with Shane Massey.
Yeah, Shane Massey's spot on. Oh, yeah, Shane Massey.
No, Shane Massey's not spot on. He's not. He's absolutely wrong. 27 states in the United States allow constitutional carry. 27, well, soon to be 27. I think Florida's kicks in on what is the date for Florida when they kick in? Let me just see. July 1st. So as of July 1st, there'll be 27 states in the United States that allow constitutional carry. So that means 27 state legislatures trust the people of their state, the law-abiding people of their state, to be a responsible gun owner. 27 of them. But here in South Carolina, ours doesn't. Well, how about that? Isn't that interesting? Ours does not. And from what I'm hearing, pretty soon, North Carolina is going to join them as well. How about that? So, what is it about us? What is it particularly about us that our state legislature does not trust us? Oh, because it's going to be wild shootout in the streets. No, that's not happening in any of these states that allow constitutional carry. Crime has not gone up. Shootings have not gone up. What's gone up is the ability to defend yourself. That's what's gone up. That's the only thing that's increased here. So, I'm just sitting here. I'm just thinking, what is it about us that they just don't like? Have you noticed that? You conservatives out there, you actual conservatives, not the ones that are pretending. You actual have you noticed that your state legislature just, they tolerate you at best? That's, I'm pretty sure every time a phone rings, like Shane Massey's should be ringing, from here to eternity, I'm sure every time that phone rings, they go, it's probably one of them. Could someone else get that phone? I'm sick and tired of talking to these, what do they call them? Constituents. Heaven forbid I actually, they have a check? Yes, of course, I'll take their phone call. Oh, it's a lobbyist? Why, shut? Oh, the Chamber of Commerce? Yes, put them right through. Absolutely. Someone complaining about their rights? No. Ignore, in fact, block their call. That's exactly what happens. Chamber of Commerce gets their ear. Labor unions get their ear. Donors get their ear. You, the people that they're supposed to represent, no, they got no time for you. No time for you. Charlie, maybe South Carolina isn't liberal enough for constitutional carry. Look at Vermont. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, and say, Charlie, I thought you were supposed to be on the other side of the pond this week. That is going to be next week. Next week. Charlie, Shane Massey sounds like a Yankee Democrat. Next election is time to replace him with a smarter, more patriotic South Carolina. And that's what I can't understand, because Shane Massey's down in Edgefield. And Edgefield is, they voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. Relatively conservative part of the state. So why? Why do these people keep putting somebody like Shane Massey back in office? I don't get, it's not a huge community down there. It's not. and it's fairly close-knit. And if your name is Massey, it probably carries a lot of weight with the peach farmers and the folks at the Wild Turkey Federation, and maybe even in the Irish Traveler camps. Who knows what's going on down there in Edgefield? Maybe the folks that gather together, they're the Sonic, all know Shane Massey. Charlie, we have a low IQ state. Too many morons that can't control their emotions and don't have the conflict resolution maturity to carry a gun. Okay, that's your thesis. Prove it. That's your thesis. Prove it. Your thesis, 7-Eleven, is that we are in a low IQ state. So prove your thesis. You can't. You can't do it. 7-Eleven. And by the way, are you originally from here? Sound kind of like a transplant to me. A low IQ state. You see, I hold our state in much higher esteem than 7-Eleven does. I trust the people of South Carolina. I trust us. I trust them. I trust us. I trust me. I trust my wife. I trust my neighbors. But no, you don't trust them. You would rather rely on the police. That family that got slaughtered in Texas by that illegal immigrant who was deported 5 times. Do you know how many times they called the police? Do you know how many times? They called the police 5 different times. Was it enough? Was it enough to save their lives? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Because remember, when seconds count, the police are minutes away. So are we going to count on the police to be there every single time? No. The best they can do is find somebody after it happens. And they haven't even been able to do that because the guy that shot that family in Texas, he's in the wind. They have no idea where he is. None. And it's the people. They can't be trusted. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
71307.
Powered by Common Sense Retirement Planning.
Be a part of the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I don't know what it is about these lawmakers. They go through college, they get their degree, they go into law school, they become lawyers, and then they decide, and it's not because they want to be. I mean, they've got their own reasons for getting into Congress. We all know that. It's not necessarily because they want to serve the people. It's not for that $10,000 a year salary that they get. It's because they get other benefits as well. That's the reason. Benefits that you and I can't get, but they can. But they always want to talk about how they would just want to, I'm a public servant. I want to serve the people of my. No, you don't. No, you don't. We all know that's BS. Okay. We're grown up enough to know you're getting more than $10,000 a year out of it. Okay. We just know that. All right. So these people that claim to be conservative, and remember, if you watch how they act, you never have to interpret what they say. So when Shane Massey comes along in that diatribe on Facebook and says, "Oh, I support gun," no, you don't. No, you don't. If you supported gun rights, you would be for constitutional carry. If you supported the Constitution, you would be for constitutional carry. Okay? But it's weak people like this, which, by the way, I think Shane Massey and Chuck Schumer wear the same size neck in their shirts. I'm just saying. Can't be more than a 14. I'm just saying. I don't know for sure. I don't know their tailor. But this is how liberalism takes hold in a state like South Carolina. This is how liberalism takes hold in a state like North Carolina. Listen to this. If North Carolina had stronger Republicans, we'll just pick on them for just a second, you folks that are listening. If you had a stronger slate of Republicans in your state legislature, you would not have something like this. Listen to this. The minimum ages for children transitioning in North Carolina hospitals. Tim, I want you to take a wild guess. I know you're not feeling good today, but just take a wild guess what the minimum age is for a child to transition in North Carolina's leading hospitals. How old do you think?
12.
12?
Yeah, 12.
You're only off by 10 years. 2.
Wow.
2 years old. 2 years old. Duke Health, their minimum age limit for to start gender transitions is 2 years old. UNC Health, 3 years old. ECU Health, 4 years old. Now, you folks tell me how the legislature in North Carolina is protecting children when Duke Health can say, what decision can a 2-year-old make? None. 2-year-old can't make any decision. So this is the parents making the decision for that child. A life-changing, life-altering, life-destroying, ultimately, decision. And they're allowing it in North Carolina. 2 years old at Duke Health. Shame on you, Duke Health. 3 years old at UNC Health. Shame on you. ECU Health, 4 years old. Shame on you. Every single one of you. You allow a child to transition at 4 years old, somebody needs to go to jail. That's just all there is to it. A child cannot make that decision at 2 years old. Hell no. No. Hey, Charlie, that's proof that the parents are doing it because they wanted a different sex child. That's right. Exactly right. Spot on. It's the parents. Hey, Charlie, who pays for trans surgery?
That's another good question. Is it covered by your insurance? So, and I don't know because that's just a part of my policy I really haven't looked at because I don't know. I didn't need to. Is transitional surgery, transitional treatment, puberty blockers, everything else that goes with it, is that covered in your insurance? Hey, Charlie, wow, could you imagine a kid whose parents did this to them and they never wanted it? Somebody's going to die. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Charlie, how evil and insane are parents who would do this, and how insane and evil are lawmakers who codify it? Yep, you're right. Charlie, definitely going to hell for the treatment of the most innocent among us. Yeah, you're right. Charlie, I think we do good to have licensing as a parent. Oh, another thing you don't need a license for. Another thing. Charlie, do the hospitals in North Carolina allow parents to have other body parts removed from their toddlers without medical necessity? That I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Charlie, my 5-year-old wants to be a pirate. When can I get him fitted for his peg leg? Oh, don't forget the eye patch as well. Don't forget about that. So, Phil says, anyone who is a donator to any of those facilities, stop the money now. I agree. In fact, they should be shut down. Remember, it was Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt Hospital was talking about how this is really, it was a cash cow for him. This is a cash cow. Because not only was it the care, but it was, or the initial treatment, it was the follow-up visits. Oh, they were going to be raking in money hand over fist. They literally said that on videotape. Just how much of a big moneymaker it is. Shame on you. Shame. Paul Stanley actually spoke the truth. He spoke the truth. He says that this is a fad. And he is exactly right. I mean, period. It is a fad that's going through. He said, let's see, Paul Stanley, there's a big difference between teaching acceptance and normalizing and even encouraging participation in a lifestyle that confuses young children into questioning their sexual identification as though some sort of a game, and then parents in some cases allow it. He said, this has turned into a sad and dangerous fad. He's right. It's a fad. We're going to find that out. Charlie, this is child abuse and infant mutilation. I agree. Charlie, has anyone ever done a successful chromosome transition? Oh, of course not. But Chuck Todd wants you to know that you're wrong. You are wrong about this because Chuck Todd says that science says there's more than one gender. We'll hear what Chuck Todd has to say when we get back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Now on Pulse Plumbing Talk Line. Now, 800-050-989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So that Paul Stanley that I was just telling you about, yes, that is the Paul Stanley from KISS. And he said that this is a fad. He said it is turned into a sad and dangerous fad. There's a big difference between teaching acceptance and normalizing and even encouraging participation in a lifestyle that confuses young children into questioning their sexual identification as though some sort of game. And then parents, in some cases, allow it. So Dee Snider said, he said, you know what? There was a time when I felt pretty too. Glad my parents didn't jump to any rash conclusions. Well said, Paul Stanley. So there you go. But Chuck Todd wants you to know that there's scientific evidence. There is scientific proof, ladies and gentlemen, that there's more than two genders. Here is Chuck Todd when he was talking with Vivek Ramaswamy.
Are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it? Are you confident that it isn't a spectrum?
I am.
You know this as a scientist?
Well, there's two X chromosomes. If you're a woman, an X and a Y, that means you're a man.
There's a lot of scientific research out there. There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
Chuck, I respectfully disagree. Gender dysphoria for most of our history, all the way through the DSM-5, has been characterized as a mental health disorder. And I don't think it's compassionate to affirm that. I think that's cruelty. When a kid is crying out for help, what they're asking for is, you got to ask the question of what else is going wrong at home? What else is going wrong at school? Let's be compassionate and get to the heart of that, rather than playing this game as though we're actually changing our medical understanding for the last 100 years.
And again, I go back to this, Chuck Todd. I had little Sophie, our little Scotch collie. We had her spayed. Is she still a female? Yes, she is. Still a female. If you have your dog neutered, is he still a male? Yes, he is. He is still a male. If you have a male human neutered, they become Democrats and people like Chuck Todd. Okay, so just understand that. That's how that works. But when we have gone from acceptance to now pushing this on 2-year-old children, you see, that's the thing. That's the thing. They wanted to be accepted. You have to accept us. Remember that's Jeffrey Marsh? Jeffrey Marsh saying, "Oh, you will respect us." Remember Jeffrey Marsh saying this?
Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us.
Oh.
You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
So that was Jeffrey Marsh. You will respect us, in that creepy little witchy poo voice. So then you got to wonder. You see, it's gone from acceptance and respect to pushing it on 2-year-old children. Think about a 2-year-old child right now. Think about if you have had kids. What decisions would you trust your 2-year-old child with? I mean, other than, hey, you want to watch Blue's Clues or do you want to watch Bob the Builder? That's it. That's as far as they get to go. That's as far as they can go. They can't tell you about anything else. You could go up to a 2-year-old and you could say, which one do you want? This big nickel or this little bitty dime? They're going to pick that big nickel every single time, not knowing that they've been hoodwinked by whoever was doing it. It's, Charlie, it's evil. That's 269. You're exactly right. That's exactly what it is. Exactly right. So, Charlie, it seems to me that parents who want to change a 2-year-old's gender are the ones who wanting attention and acceptance. It is Munchausen syndrome by proxy. That's what it is. It's the new cool thing. Golly, we thought pickleball was cool in some communities. No, pickleball has nothing compared to the attention that you get from having a trans child. It's all the attention that they crave. That's what they want. Just give me that attention. I want that attention. And I don't really have to do anything. Goodness, this is awesome. All I have to do is convince my young boy that he's a girl, and then everybody will love me. Or my young girl that she's a boy, and then everybody will love me. Then I'll be in, I'll be cool, I'll be hip. I don't need my Lululemon leggings. I don't need any of that. I've got this. Charlie, so now instead of temporary tattoos, 2-year-olds should get real tattoos? Absolutely. 2-year-olds should get real tattoos. 2-year-olds should make the decision about whether or not they smoke. 2-year-olds should be able to cook their own meal. Oh, yeah. Run with knives and scissors. Do all of those things. Take a fork, stick it in the light socket. Yeah. 2-year-olds, they know it all. They know it all. So it is, but there you go. But again, you see, the whole idea was not acceptance. It was not acceptance. It was not respect. It was now we want to push this on everybody else. That's where we are. So we've gone from, oh no, you need to respect us, to now you will respect us and we will push this on your children. That is why it is so wildly important for them to have this stuff in the children's section. It is important to them. It is vital. They have to have it. Charlie, if you put antlers on your dog, is he Rudolph? Didn't think so. No, he's not. Of course not. Charlie, 2-year-olds can barely choose between peas and carrots. You're right. Charlie, at 12, you can't buy a beer, shotgun, or serve in the Army, but at 2, you can have a medically unnecessary procedure of a sex change. Wow. I know, right? And who do we have to blame for it? Do we have to blame Democrats for it? No, not really. Not really, because we knew how they were going to behave. It's the conservatives in our state legislature who, by the way, put gender in the hate crimes bill. Thank you very much. So gender is now codified in South Carolina state law. Let's not forget that. The Freedom Caucus fought against that. The establishment kept it in. And we can also blame those folks up there in North Carolina for not raising teetotal hell. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
from high atop Hogback Mountain.
We're covering the Carolinas like never before with 100,000 watts of power. It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9,
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome back to the program, Monday afternoon. And we got several callers here on the GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. We'll go to James and Easley. James, welcome to the Charlie James Show. How are you?
Yeah, James Warren here.
Yes, sir. What's up?
It's silly and easy, but my blood's boiling. It sounds to me like we got some senators or somebody in the House that needs to be primary, just holding up this constitutional carry.
Yeah, well, it's everything. Not only constitutional carry, but also closing the primary.
I'm sorry?
I said it's not just constitutional carry; it's also closing the primary.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that now.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing that you touched on earlier that just got me going here. What was the other subject that you were talking about this month?
We're talking about the whole transgender ideology and how the state legislature put in the hate crimes bill, and I'm using quotation marks. They put gender in the hate crimes bill, so now gender is officially recognized by the state of South Carolina.
Can I ask you a question about these gender people and so forth? Have you ever heard the word Bible discussed when that subject came up? Nobody has ever heard that. Nobody's ever heard about the Bible that has talked about this stuff. And the Bible is very clear. Now, there may not be a lot of folks that believe in the Bible, but they understand that this is the Word of God.
Yeah.
And that we can't talk about stuff like this. Especially with our children involved. Oh, my gosh. Well,
yeah,
anyway,
I know. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, James. Let's go to Cassandra in Greenville. Cassandra, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm fine, Charlie, and thank you for having me on. I just wanted to clarify something for folks. But before I do, please, if you have President Trump's ear, tell him to fire whoever is advising him to be putting out commercials against Ron DeSantis and fellow Republicans. I saw the commercial and thought it was put out by the Democrat Party and was just shocked at the end and thought, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Instead of bragging that DeSantis tried to follow in his footsteps and used things he learned from Trump, instead of bragging about that, he downplays a wonderful governor. Anyway, that's just my little side thing.
I mean, but it is a primary. They are running for the election.
Yeah, then save it. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It makes me think less of Trump, and I don't want to because I really admire him. And I think he's too much of a good man who's done a fantastic job. That's what he should be talking about instead of giving me a feeling that he's insecure. To pick on someone who's doing such a great job.
But you know, Cassandra, I heard the same thing in 2016. The same thing when he said what he said about when he gave out Lindsey Graham's phone number, when he called Marco Rubio, Little Marco, when he said all the things about Ted Cruz, when he, listen, Donald Trump's a fighter. He's always going to be a fighter, and he's never not going to fight.
I want him to fight, but I want him to fight smart. And I mean, he's done so many wonderful things for our country, and DeSantis is following in his footsteps. That's something to be proud of and brag instead of saying, he's bad on this or this. Come on, it's not worth it.
But wait a minute. What if Trump's right?
What if Trump's right? I don't think that he's trying to ruin Social Security in the state of Florida. I just don't. What if he's right? Well, it's worth looking at.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
worth looking at. I like looking into him, but really, I called about the gender issue, and the past gentleman was talking about the Bible. There are people who are hermaphrodites, and that actually doesn't come from the Bible. It comes from mythology. The child of Hermes and Aphrodite,
right,
was a blended being, and in hermaphrodite they do exist. They are very abnormal. It's something we don't usually find, but the union of the two sexes in the same individual does happen. It's when, for instance, you have a Y chromosome and two X chromosomes. Now, I have actually known two hermaphrodites throughout my lifetime. I've actually known them. Normally, what would happen is when they were a baby, when they were first born, the parents would decide with the doctors which they tended to be, and they would take care of the issue at that time. But they do exist, and it gives even less permission for people to mutilate normal children.
But I
cannot believe that they're doing it.
They are so rare. Hermaphroditism is so rare, and that's a biological anomaly. That's not a choice. And what is going on right now is a choice. I appreciate your call, Cassandra. Let's go to Robert in Greenville. Robert, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Wanted to weigh in on the other news that I heard about, that the Biden administration is extorting oil out of Iraq and not lowering the price here in the United States. Iraq's oil percentage went up 35%, and there's no savings or serious cost cutting by that.
Because we have to get it from
House.
somewhere.
Yeah.
We got to get it from
Why not
somewhere.
from here?
So you're exactly right, Robert. I mean, why is foreign oil, for some reason, oil in Iraq, oil in Argentina, oil in Venezuela, how come that oil doesn't affect the environment as much as American
Saudi
oil?
Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's wrong with the American oil? And we put our oil on the market. It forces all the oil all over the
That's
world
right.
to be dropped.
To
just
go
like
down.
Trump proved it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But it's not about the oil. It's not about the oil. It's about the batteries, Robert.
Oh,
and
yeah,
who
the
is
electric car
who is
stuff.
controlling the
Oh, my
batteries?
God.
China is controlling the batteries. Robert, I appreciate your call. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. 201 is weighing in. Let's see. Charlie, if we go to constitutional carry, how do you stop people who have no idea how to carry, hold a gun, aim, shoot, and when not to? Also, not only good guys with guns will increase, but more bad guys with guns will as well. Again, same arguments that I heard about open carry with training. Oh, if we have open carry with training, people are going to be walking down the street of downtown Greenville with firearms. There's going to be shootouts in the middle. None of it's happened. None of that stuff's happened. And do you think that there's a bad guy out there somewhere waiting for constitutional carry to be passed so they can carry a firearm? No, they already are. They're doing it right now. This doesn't prevent the bad guys from doing a thing. They're doing it. What this does is it impedes you as a law-abiding citizen. And again, I'll say it again. The Second Amendment prevents the government, Shane Massey, from infringing on your right to keep and bear arms. And Shane Massey is the perfect example of why we need the Second Amendment, because he is the government and he does want to infringe on your rights. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
7 on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
Welcome to the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Let's go to the TS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. We're going to be talking with Melissa in York. How you doing, Melissa?
Hey, I'm fine. How y'all?
Doing good, good. Glad to have you on the program. What's on your mind?
Thank you. Nothing. I was just calling in about that last caller, about, people carrying guns, bad people carrying everything. Let me tell you, I watch On Patrol Live every single weekend.
Right.
And the bad people are the people that they catch with all kinds of guns and everything on them.
Mm.
They ain't no good. They ain't that good of a people, let me tell you.
No, they're not. They're the bad guys, and the bad guys have guns. So why make it harder for the good guys to have them?
I know, huh?
But
right.
You're right, Melissa. I appreciate you calling. Thank you for listening in over there in York. But here's the thing. And all of that's important. All of that is important. I mean, you look at the shootouts in Chicago. You think those residents of Chicago are using legal guns? I mean, city of Chicago had 688 murders in the past 12 months. 688. Think those were people with concealed carry permits? No, of course not. Think they went through 8 hours of training? No, they did not. No, they don't do it. So they have a right that the average citizen does not have, so to speak. And then when they are caught, let's say you go in and you hold up a liquor store and you got a stolen Smith & Wesson nickel-plated whatever. You rob the liquor store, you get caught, you go to jail, you get your charges read to you, and then lawyers get involved. The first charge they always drop is the gun charge. That's number one. Number one. Here's what we'll do. Okay, yeah, you know what, Your Honor, you're right. My client here, he did rob that liquor store because you know what, society forced him to do this, and that was his only recourse. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to plea down. Why don't you give him 12 months and drop the gun charge? Okay, done. Next case. That happens more times than not. Did I say that right? Didn't sound right, but that's it. Hey, Charlie, does it mean? But let me just say this: it's more than just the bad guys having guns. It is about your right. It's in the Constitution. Shall not be infringed. Infringed by who? This is the question. Who is the infringer and who is the infringee? Shane Massey wants to be the infringer. The government wants to be the infringer. That's who the Second Amendment was written about. That you cannot be infringed on by the government. Shane Massey is a representative of the government. This is exactly what this is saying. I don't understand. So when Shane Massey says, we need to have concealed, he probably said,
we need to have concealed weapons permits here in South Carolina and stuff because, bad guys and junk and some stuff like that and stuff. So I think you should have to have a CWP. You're the infringer. You're the guy that the founding fathers was worried about. You're it. Congratulations. You're now the poster child here in South Carolina of infringement. Your name is Shane Massey. And shame on you. My goodness. Charlie, if any part of the Constitution or amendments are separable and able to be nullified, then the whole thing is subject to it.
And that's what they really want. They want the Constitution gone. And for some reason, they have got a whole lot of folks on the right, quote unquote, that want to help them. They want to help them do it. So I'm telling you, let's see, Charlie, we're living what's called an anarcho-tyranny, in witness to which the government incites chaos and coddles and promotes criminal activity. You're exactly right. Exactly right. Let's say, Charlie, I'm a bona fide hardened criminal, and I promise you I could care less what the laws say. Some person said they don't blame Shane Massey so much as they blame Henry McMaster. Yeah, McMaster needs to be speaking out on this stuff. Absolutely he does. But who would he be speaking out against? Folks like Shane Massey, folks like Senator Sandy Sin, speaking out against those people who want to infringe against you. But yes, I agree with you, Texter. I do. We need to hear more from our governor. Now, how come it is that Ron DeSantis will have a press conference every other day, but yet we hardly hear from our governor here in South Carolina? Certainly, he can't be more busy than Ron DeSantis. Charlie, I believe Rome and several other historical empires have fallen in the same fashion. Yes. Yes. Hey, Charlie, people need to keep their feelings out of the Second Amendment and worry about themselves. It's just like driving. I think everybody needs driver training, but does everyone? No. No, they don't. And you're right about that. All right. The GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. That's 800-905-0989. The Common Sense Retirement Planning text line is, as always, 71307. You can email me, Charlie, at 989WORD.com. Charlie, did you just say Shane on you? I said Shame Massey is his name. Shame Massey. Or you could say Shane on you. That might be a new saying. Shane on you, which actually means shame. Shane. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Call the GS Plumbing Talk Line now. 800-050-989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So how many days has it been since Joe Biden has made a huge gaffe? Anybody? Anybody know? Oh my goodness. Well, the old teleprompter won again against Joe Biden. Just, oh my gosh. This guy is a walking, talking, babbling disaster. And that's the only way you can put it. He cannot put two thoughts together, much less compile those thoughts into a coherent sentence. I want you to listen to this because, again, the teleprompter, Joe Biden, 0, teleprompter, probably 1,020 in the win-loss categories. Here is Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen.
Today, in companies like, I hope I pronounced it right, Ame Power. I believe that's right. Ame Power, Florida Small Business Winner Award winner, or Business Week winner. You won.
Hey, how about that? Don't know who you are. Don't know how.